Well, hello, YouTube folks. I guess my last video I said it would be a week or so before I did an update, and I got to thinking I really never posted anything about my experience in doing the vertical sleeve and what the process was like for me as I've had it done here in Jakarta, Indonesia. Um, well, let's see. I began to look into the procedure a few months ago, and looked for alternatives to where to have it done. I found Dr. Handy Wing here in Jakarta, who operates out of the Graha Kedoya Rumah Sakit, the hospital in West Jakarta, at Graha Kedoya, and he is beginning to specialize in the procedure. He hasn't done that many of them relative to some of the surgical mills that you see in Mexico or vacation hospitals or whatnot. He's done, I think he said over 80, which is a fair number, but it's not the 4,000 that you might hear from some of these assembly line doctors. But um, the price was reasonable. It ended up being a little more than he'd initially quoted me. I stayed in a little nicer hospital room, single occupancy, and then I stayed an extra night. I think they were probably a little bit more free with the antibiotics and IV fluids and so forth with me than they might have been had I been a patient expressing a budget. And because of that, I ended up being, probably a couple $1,000s over what the initial estimate was. So, but it was still less than it would have cost me to get it done in Mexico had I been that been an option. But we went in for the initial consultation a couple months ago. I told them my situation. You don't have the regulation here that you do in the states, and in some ways that may be a good thing, and in some ways that may be a bad thing. But because the regulations are different, there wasn't a 6 month waiting period for insurance or anything like that. I didn't have to go through any hoops. He basically said, "Yeah, it sounds like you're a good candidate, and you know what you're looking at." So we scheduled the procedure, first part of the procedure to be just an upper GI. Did that just a week or so later, and then scheduled my actual procedure to be done about a month and a half after that. So the total from the first time I spoke with the doctor until I had the procedure done was about 2 months, maybe a little bit more than that, but around 2 months. I went in on Friday morning, June the 17th. I got there at about 7 o'clock. Um, by They went through the preoperative procedures. Went to check my weight, checked my all my coagulation factors and all of that. Um, by 9 o'clock, I was on the operating table, and it was a little bit different than surgeries I've had done in the U.S. I didn't have any anesthesia prior to no. One hospital I had a procedure done in gallbladder surgery. They told me they were giving me a shot called I don't care medicine, or I don't care shot, something like that. Um, and I didn't have any of that, so I was very uncomfortable going into the operating room without any kind of medication beforehand. But once we were in there, and the anesthesia went smoothly, I was out very quickly, and I woke up. Them talking to me when I came out of anesthesia. I was very kind of confused. I mean, I knew where I was. I knew what was going on, but I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to say. It was a really weird feeling. Like they were talking to me, and I was trying to figure out what do they want me to say. What are they expecting from me? And that was what I was literally thinking. I'm thinking, I hope they don't expect me to be coherent. And then I realized I need something because I'm going to vomit. And I said something about I'm going to throw up. And very quickly they put a pan beside me and lifted my head, and I threw up immediately. And it was very nasty. I think it was probably a large part of it was just coagulated congealed blood from the procedure. And um, somewhere right after that, it wasn't long. I wasn't any continued eating or anything. It was I mean, it was a sheer vomit. It wasn't just spitting up. I heaved, but very quickly after that, I blacked out or passed out again and was unconscious. And then I came to in my actual room in the hospital. So they transported me. They realized that I was gone and I was out, and they transported me to my hospital room. And I came to there, and I was uncomfortable. I was my body did not like what had been done to it, and I don't know what I was expecting. I said in my first video that it wasn't. If you're expecting it to be easy, don't expect it to be easy, because it wasn't. It was a very uncomfortable procedure afterwards. Uh, it was somewhat of that feeling that I've read other people and heard other people say. What have I done to myself? There was definitely some of that. But I kept thinking, but I can't undo it. I can't. I've just got to go forward. I can't undo this. And um, you know, they moved. Moved. I just figured I just got to live. I just got to survive this. It's going to get better. And it did get better very quickly. By I was sitting up and moving around. They left the drain in. I had a drain for a couple days. Drain came out on Sunday. Um, I'd hoped I wouldn't have to do that, but I think if anything, I was aching a bit in that area where the drain was. But the initial feeling, the sensation of having my stomach removed, the best way I can describe it was my stomach was confused. I would feel intense hunger, like this starvation hunger, and then immediately it would transition into pain, an attack. Just this, it would seize up, and then I would feel nausea, like I was going to vomit. And I really only vomited once, and it wasn't that much. Just that day. After that, after the first day, the nausea kind of went away. The doctor did tell me, and I mentioned in a post on one of the forums that probably the issue I had, what was a little bit harder for me than maybe it was for some people, was that in Indonesia they don't use morphine. So I didn't have morphine given to me, administered to me at all, and that may have been a factor in the way I felt following the surgery. Um, but whatever they did give me, it did stop the pain. So when I would be hurting and they would come in and inject something into my IV, and my arm would get cold, and then the pain would loosen up, and I would feel okay. So it wasn't unbearable. None of the pain's ever been unbearable through this. The the worst was the contraction like pain. Whenever I'd have the hunger, followed by the pain, followed by the nausea. Um, that would that was the worst, easily the worst. But no, aside from that, the procedure I think went pretty smoothly. The doctor said it went well. They immediately, that day, they gave me water, no ice chips. I never had ice chips. I never had Jello. They put water in a cup and gave me a spoon and said use the spoon to eat water with. Um, and then on Saturday, they introduced Ensure and protein powder. So by Saturday afternoon, I was getting these little cups with about 1 ounce or less of maybe a tablespoon or so of Ensure and a little protein powder, and that kept increasing. And then on Sunday, they gave me some chicken broth, um, along with a little larger volume, a little more increased volume of protein powder. So, yeah, by Sunday afternoon, I felt okay. I could have gone home, I think, Sunday afternoon. Um, I didn't wasn't that much better on Monday, but my main concern was infection and making sure I had all the best, because they removed the drain on Sunday afternoon, and I really felt like I needed to stay a day after that. After the drain's out, let me stay another day. So I did, and I don't think it was a mistake. It wasn't needed. I don't know, but ultimately it's what I chose to do. So yeah, so far so good. I know there's basically a 2 week danger zone, I think, window where you can have leakage and those sorts of things are more prone to happening. But So far, so good. I went out today, went to the mall, went looking for a mattress because, quite frankly, the mattress in our apartment is rock hard, and this is I'm very uncomfortable to sleep on. I'm probably going to sleep on the sofa tonight. Um, it's just too uncomfortable to sleep on after this procedure. Um, and I've been thinking about getting a mattress anyway, so it really isn't that big a deal. The Went to the mall, stayed out for the mall for a couple hours, walked around quite a bit, no problems. There's some things that were different about the hospital in Indonesia. Um, they really didn't get me up and about. You always hear it's important that you get up and you move and you walk. They didn't emphasize that. They weren't trying to get me to walk down the hall. Most things like that, anything like that, I had to do myself. It wasn't like they were coming to me and saying, "Okay, you need to get up and walk." Um, they uh, they didn't give me the little breathing device to exercise my lungs with after surgery to prevent pneumonia from the anesthesia. I had to ask for one. I didn't. I wanted to prevent any possible complications. They had them. They gave me one, but it was not something they just gave without me asking. Um, they Let's see, there was something else. Didn't seem to be much concern with blood clotting. Maybe my coagulation factor, and they checked out before surgery. They weren't worried about it. For whatever reason. I did notice that my right leg had one of the little massaging things on it when I came out of anesthesia, but they took it off immediately, and there was nothing further done to really try to, to check blood clots. So and maybe for whatever reason, I wasn't concerned with that. But again, it went smoothly, and here I am. So I've taken this step, and maybe we'll see how it goes from here. I feel good about it. I think it was the right decision, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the days ahead. Talk to you later.